Hello everyone, this is Vintage Vinny, and today I'm going to be discussing with you all how to identify the authentic Coca Cola serving trays versus the reproduction trays. I've been promising this video for so long, and now I finally decided to make this since I won't be doing a lot of haul videos because of my special announcement from my last video. So it's going to be a quick little tutorial. I do have a 15-minute time limit for Screencast-O-Matic, so I'm going to try to squeeze all the information that I'm going to provide you all with tonight into that 15-minute period. So let's get started here. So just to start off here, I have a little bit of a background story. So Coca-Cola serving trays, as you all know, were used in soda fountains during the early part of the 20th century to help advertise the product that they wanted to sell. So down here at the bottom, I have two examples of that. I'm using the 1916 Coca-Cola Elaine Girl Serving Tray as my example. This one is the only elongated tray that the company produced in the early 1900s. And this is the tip tray, which is a smaller version of the actual serving tray. The tip trays were obviously based on what the name of them were. You know, you put your waiter's tip on that one and they would serve you the drinks on the actual serving tray. To me, these pieces are fantastic pieces of art, and the graphics are just amazing, and they do not make stuff like this anymore. So to be able to hold a piece of history like this, to me, is fascinating. Now, the very first serving tray that was produced was issued in 1896, and it was bronze, and it was etched in with, I don't know. It was an etched tray, and it's very, very rare to find. I wish I could have had a picture of it for you. I was using my Petretti's guide from 2008, my Coca-Cola Petretti's guide, to just make sure I was giving proper information before I did this video. And that was the only picture I could find of it in the book. And the latest copy that's out right now is from 2008, so it's almost a 10-year-old book, but it's the most up-to-date and current version. I don't think Petretti has released any new ones, as far as I know. Anyway, that tray is extremely rare, and I wish I would have had a picture of it for you. There were a lot of things that I wanted to do to this presentation. I just couldn't squeeze it all into here as much as I would have loved to. So, reproductions of these early Coke trays have been issued for years, and I mean they started reproducing these back in the 1950s. I'm talking about the teens trays, and some from the 1930s as well. So, it's very easy to get these trays confused with the authentic ones if you are not sure what you're looking for. So today, hopefully this little presentation will help you learn what to look for when you're looking for the authentic trays and how you can identify the reproductions. So the very first thing that I want to tell you all is to look for the markings that are proper in identifying the authentic pieces. So always check the tail of the C in Coca at the very bottom or at the very top of the serving tray. Most of the time, they're going to say trademark registered, and that's in the trays, actually all of the trays that are authentic. But what you need to look for with the later trays from like the 1920s all the way up through 1942 is American Artworks Inc., Coshocton, Ohio. And the last tray that was produced during World War II was the Roadster Girls tray. If you would like to take a look at that, go ahead on Google and just type in 1942 Roadster Girls serving tray. Or you can check my Instagram page out, VinnyMac1995, and I have a picture of one on there. So in the earlier trays from like the 1910s, you want to look for Passaic, New Jersey. And it's actually inscribed at the very, very bottom, kind of like where all this detailing is on this tray here from 1929. And it's very faint. It's kind of hard to miss if you're not paying attention because it is very, very dark. So yes, definitely be on the lookout for those. Now I do want to give you a little example of the reproduction tray versus the authentic piece. This is from a gentleman online called Tim the Tray Man. I did give him credit for these because these are his photographs. So on the left here, you'll see the original 1937 Running Girl beach tray, which is an amazing piece. I mean, I love all these pieces, don't get me wrong, so I'm probably going to say it's amazing a million times. But notice that, like it says, the trademark is in the tail of the sea, and it's over here too on the reproduction that was made in the 1950s. However, note what I said earlier. It's going to say the Coca Cola Company, 1937, all the way on the left, American Artworks Inc., Coshocton, Ohio in the middle, and it will say Made in the USA all along at the bottom. The original, or the reproduction, is very similar to that, and it actually fooled me the first time I saw it. And it just says the Coca Cola Company, 1937. And the trademark was in the tail of the sea. I don't know if you all will be able to tell from these pictures, but in the original it says trademark registered. In the reproduction it says trademark Reg US Padoff. In the 1950s, the Menu Girl serving tray and the Umbrella Girl will also have Reg US Padoff. I think they changed that after the war, but again, I'm not 100% sure of that. But based on what I've seen on the actual trays, the trademark registered has definitely changed. So always be on the lookout for that kind of a thing. And make sure the back of the trays are black, not this ugly mustard yellow color. That will help you identify those pieces that are authentic. Now, I'm sure you can all tell which one is authentic and which one is a reproduction. This one is another piece that I have in my collection. This is the 1934 Coca Cola serving tray featuring Johnny Weissmuller and Maureen O'Sullivan, also known as Tarzan and Jane, the original Tarzan and Jane. Now, the 1934 Coke serving tray has been reproduced in the 1970s, and it's also been reproduced in the 1980s. So there are two different versions that you may see out there, whether you're at the antique stores, the thrift stores, the flea markets. You'll be able to tell the difference. Note the bright, vivacious colors on the one on the left here. That's almost as clear as can be. Like, it's very bright, very vibrant, almost as if someone just snapped a photograph and just placed it right on the tray. Whereas over here, it's a very fuzzy, faint, ugly color, and it looks like a picture gone wrong. Also, the rims of the trays will be different. This one is kind of like that same mustard yellow color that was on the back. And then this one is like a tannish color. And that, to me, is easy to help me identify the reproductions versus the authentic pieces. So definitely look for clarity in picture, because that is key to identifying the repros versus the authentic pieces. Now, this is where it gets very, very tricky, especially for some of the trays that have been reproduced in the same exact way as the authentic pieces. So like I said before, with the 1937 tray and the 1934 tray, always look for those fuzzy graphics. That is a clear indication that it is a reproduction. And if you look up here in the 1916 reproduction tray, Reg US Padoff is underneath the Coca-Cola logo, not in the trademark at all, or in the tail of the sea. Now, with the 1913 Hat Lady tray, which I also own, the graphics, again, are very, very fuzzy, and the picture is much smaller. And to identify the authentic tray versus the reproduction, in the Coca-Cola glass that she's holding, this one right here is the reproduction, and it just says Coca-Cola. If it is authentic, it will have a 5 cent on the glass to represent that Coke cost 5 cents back in 1913. Now, the Betty tray has been reproduced in the 50s, and it has also been reproduced in the 70s. Now, it was the same type of reproduction as the 1937 tray that I showed you earlier. And it was also ovular. They did make a square version of this tray, and it was not reproduced in square. It was reproduced in the ovular tray. So always be careful and always check for those markings. It will say this is a commemorative tray from 1972, 1973, USA. So yeah, definitely always pay attention to where the trademark is and make sure you're looking for all those markings that are appropriate. Now, this is one of the 1921 trays. They never reproduced it in elongated. This is actually what it looked like if it was a calendar. The 1923 Flapper Girl tray was always square. So if you see it in square, pick it up because it is authentic. They never produced it originally in an ovular shape. You guys got to be really, really careful when you guys are picking these up because these reproductions have flooded the market. And I've seen the 1934 Tarzan tray, or the 1974, 1984 reproduction, sell for a lot of money because people think it's the original. And that kind of makes me mad because someone's getting ripped off. But then again, if they're willing to pay for it, I mean, they didn't know. But it does kind of irk my nerve that someone's paying way too much money for a reproduction. So you got to make sure you know what you're doing. And I would love to give credit to this video to Tim the Tray Man. His website is right here. So go ahead and check him out. I used his videos for a reference to the 1937 Coca-Cola Running Girl tray. And that about wraps up this little tutorial today. I hope you all learned something. Please make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, leave me a comment below, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Head on over to Facebook. You can find me in Thrifty World, International League of Thrifters, and all of the reseller Facebook groups. All of my social media is also linked down below. My Facebook page, my Instagram page. Everything that you need to find me on is down there. Thank you so much for watching.